A new 49ers player, a very, very fast edge rusher, and you're probably going to see him on the field tomorrow night in Las Vegas as San Francisco concludes its preseason against the Las Vegas Raiders. Earlier today, I had a video walking around on the street here in the city, and I said that they had a visit from Jah Joyner. Well, the 49ers have now signed Jah Joyner, who's got serious straight line speed. A 4.6040 at 262 pounds was the top speed at the miles per hour. 22.58 miles per hour was the highest speed of all edge rushers at the NFL Combine. Again, 22.58 miles per hour, 22.6 miles per hour. Obviously, somebody who's going to need more refinement when it comes to hand usage, when it comes to technique along that defensive line. But if you want raw speed coming off the edge, Jah Joyner can bring it. And he is joining the 49ers. I can give you a look at their depth chart. At this point, it's going to be difficult to make the roster at almost any position, but defensive end is in such an injury flux for the 49ers, especially since Michael Williams is probably going to start the season on PUP, that you might be able to join the roster now and sneak onto the 53-man roster if you're impressive enough. That being said, there also is a practice squad. So we're going to go over how some of this might work, but we're also going to add Jah Joyner to the 49ers roster. I reported the visit earlier today. Aaron Wilson, I think through the agent of Jah Joyner, I'm guessing, because he said league source just reported the signing. So credit to Aaron Wilson. We're going to put Jah Joyner here at the very edge of the roster, and we're going to highlight him in teal because teal means that the player is a free agent addition. That's not a teal highlight. That's teal text. A teal highlight looks like this. So the 49ers, all of these edge rushers in teal, they have added since the beginning of training camp. Ogbo Okoronkwo, who I project to make the team at the very moment, but we'll see how this all shakes out on Sunday. Quentin Bell, Victor Demukeji, Viliami Fehoko, who is Vita Vea's second cousin and who was at his first practice for the 49ers the other day. He's going to be in uniform tomorrow. And now Jah Joyner. If you want to see who's hurt, well, Michael Williams, obviously, still on PUP, coming off the ACL. Nick Bosa, I gave you the update. They're hoping he's going to be back out of practice next week, but you're obviously not going to use Bosa in a preseason game. Romello Height currently has an ankle issue, so he is out for the 49ers indefinitely. That leaves them right now at the edge rusher position if they don't want to play Keon White, which I don't think they do, even though he's back at practice off the adductor injury. I don't think they want to play him in a game. That leaves the 49ers with Okawanu, Okoronkwo, Quentin Bell, Demukeji, Fehoko, and Jah Joyner, and I don't think they want to play Okawanu. I don't think they want to play anybody who they know is going to make that 53-man roster if they don't have to. So by adding Joyner, you don't have to play Okawanu, and you could run out there with your five edges or your four edges being Bell, Demukeji, Fehoko, and Joyner. You don't even have to play Okoronkwo if he is projected to make the 53-man roster. Yesterday, I reported that the 49ers are treating this a little bit differently, this third preseason game. Maybe a lot differently, we can say. In the past, they had started their top-line guys, maybe everybody except for Trent Williams and Christian McCaffrey. Even Brock Purdy had played. It had been the dress rehearsal game. This year, because they're going to Australia, things are different. We're a week away from takeoff to Australia. I fly out the same night as the 49ers do on Wednesday, September 2nd. It's Wednesday, August 26th right now. The 49ers have a mandatory 3-day off period surrounding the NFL cut down to 53 men. So the deadline's on Sunday. The NFL makes you take a 3-day absence. I'm not sure if they force you to do it on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but for the 49ers, it benefits them to do this 3-day absence from practice, the 3 players' days off, right after this game against the Raiders. So nothing Friday, nothing Saturday, nothing Sunday. Obviously, the cut down on Sunday, but no practice for the 49ers. Then they're going to be back out there Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, with Monday and Wednesday being full-speed practices next week, and Tuesday being a walk-through or jog-through, whatever you call it, for the 49ers. Then they pack up and they head to Melbourne, 15-and-a-half-hour flight. So we're going to see who all stays in the building through Sunday and Monday, because even if guys get cut, they can then re-sign them to the 17-player practice squad. And there's going to be more than 53 plus 17, which equals 70, who stay in the building because the 49ers are going to take advantage of several injury lists to keep as many players in the building as possible. So this is going to be a chance for somebody like Jah Joyner, for somebody like Viliami Fehoko, the two new arrivals. It is going to be a chance to show that they deserve to stay around the building. And I guarantee you, if you show out in this game, especially at a position that is in the midst of injury questions and a little bit thin right now for the 49ers, if you show out in this game, a practice squad spot is definitely possible. This is a team that ran out of edge rushers last year. So this is a team that I think can definitely use any talent at the position. Joyner is interesting in a similar way that Viliami Fehoko is interesting. These are two really good athletes, and you can argue that there might be some untapped potential there because somebody like Viliami Fehoko has yet to take an NFL snap, even though he was drafted in the 4th round. He suffered an injury in his very first year and just hasn't really had the opportunity to burst onto the scene quite yet. Somebody like Jah Joyner, well, he was an undrafted free agent of the Raiders, so he's going to get to play against the team that signed him back in 2025. They waived him a year ago yesterday on August 25th, so it's about the anniversary of when he was last on an NFL team. Then he went to the Dallas Renegades, and then he went to the Houston Gamblers. That is a United Football League team, so he was obviously not playing in the NFL over the course of the past year, ever since being waived by the Raiders. So now he actually gets another NFL chance. You can talk about the speed. 22.6 miles an hour from somebody who weighs over 260 pounds is quite frankly absurd. And he gets to work with Chris Kasarik. He gets to show off what he might have picked up in the UFL over the course of the NFL offseason. He'll be in a room with Nick Bosa if he could stick around on the practice squad for the 49ers. And Bosa, I think, has been very generous with his time and with his skills and really trying to pass on what he knows to his teammates. So you never know in this league. Sam Okawanu is a good example of somebody who's carved himself a 53-man roster spot in the past, who kind of came out of nowhere. It can happen, especially when there is opportunity, and I think there does project to be opportunity for the 49ers. NFL owners meetings, the summer version going on right now. I'm sure you guys have seen a lot of the updates, and the one pertaining to the 49ers is that Jed York is not there. Al Guido, San Francisco's CEO, is their main representative. Now, Guido has been a primary representative for the 49ers at these particular owners meetings. These are the ones that are not heavily attended by the media. The ones I go to are in the spring meeting. This is the NFL summer meeting. I think it's in Atlanta this year. Al Guido has been the 49ers primary representative for about a decade at these meetings. So let's not act like Al Guido is some kind of newbie who is just being thrown into the fire here for the 49ers. This is an experienced executive, somebody who has a very successful track record building stadiums, not just Levi's, but building Jerry World over in Dallas, and working on the Titan Stadium in Nashville, which looks really nice, should open next season. Al Guido was the president of the 49ers for a long time, and in February took Jed York's former title of CEO. York is still the principal owner of the 49ers. We'll see what moves forward following the arrest and all the fallout of that. But Al Guido is the chief executive officer, and he is serving as the 49ers primary representative in Atlanta for these owners meetings. But it is not a new job for him. It is something that he has done over the course of the past decade or so for San Francisco. Some rules coming out of that owners meeting, and one of them pertains to the league schedule. The Pro Bowl is no more. They're not going to have a Pro Bowl anymore, which means that the very last Pro Bowl to ever be held happened in downtown San Francisco, right behind me. Actually, downtown is that way. Yeah, downtown's that way. You're looking toward Twin Peaks, actually. I don't know if you could, it's probably a little bit blurred out, but you could see Sutro Tower. You could probably see the fog rolling over. If you like the new camera angle, let me know. We've been experimenting here with the spot. The football in the corner is nice. We don't have, any need for art when it comes to this because we could just, have the city in the background. So the art is coming in on the other walls though. The place is starting to pick up. Lombardi herself is doing a great job with it. She's cooking something crazy. Margot, what's for dinner right now? The people want to know what's for dinner. It's an Ina Garden skillet lemon chicken. A what? Okay, so the chicken no longer has a backbone. Do you mind doing me a favor, please, and turning the ring light down a little bit? Because as it gets darker outside, we're experimenting with it. It's starting to reflect a little bit. I think it's that knob, and I think, yeah, it's getting dimmer. I think that's good. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Appreciate it. It's gonna be a trial and error kind of thing. Dinner smells amazing. I wish you could smell it through the microphone. Then we'd have like 2,000 people watching instead of 1,000, but it's good. All right, we're going to go through the 49ers roster. Dinner will be ready in a little bit. We're eating fashionably late. We're eating at European time. It was just such a nice day out in the city today that you can't really be out eating at 5 or 6 because you got to take advantage of the sunshine. August is about to end, which is nice. And that means that we're going to have the roster cut down, which is also a sign that the regular season is coming up close. We can start talking about what to watch for tomorrow, too, as we look through this roster. So Curtis Rourke, in all likelihood, is not going to play for the 49ers tomorrow. Kyle Shanahan already said that. He broke 3 ribs in that game against the Tennessee Titans, but he's close to being back, even though he had to be hospitalized. That was per precaution. There is a chance that the 49ers do an injury maneuver with Curtis Rourke, do something that keeps him maybe shelved for the first 4 games, like an IR maneuver. That would allow them to have him later in the year because he impressed them so much, but would mean that he doesn't count against the 53-man roster. So we'll see if they carry 2 or 3 quarterbacks. But I would almost assume that tomorrow belongs to Adrian Martinez exclusively, the whole game. The 49ers might dress Mac Jones in case Martinez gets hurt and they need another quarterback, but I would expect Martinez or bust for the rest of the game, and Jones just being there as an emergency QB against the Raiders. At the running back position, and Martinez, by the way, I think that he's auditioning for that 49ers practice squad. Then you move on to the running back position. Obviously, you won't see McCaffrey. You won't see Juszczyk, who's coming back from the broken finger. He's running some sprints with the cable the other day. Guarendo's still on PUP. I think they're going to keep him there through the roster cut down so he doesn't count against the 53-man. Kalen Black, you could argue, hey, toss Kalen Black out there. I think he's already shown enough. Jordan James probably needs some playing time because he was out with the rib injury. So Jordan James might be the 49ers starting running back tomorrow. They've got Khalil Herbert and Sincere McCormick. I think 3 is probably enough. Maybe you dress Kalen Black, but he didn't play all too much just in case you need to finish out the game. But it's mainly going to be the guys toward the right over here. Good news on Mike Evans, and this is something that we already knew through Kyle Shanahan, but I'll just bring the camera back here for a second so you guys can see the fading light behind me here in San Francisco. The view that way is epic. I could see the Golden Gate Bridge that way. The problem is that would be against the sun, and then it'd be really tricky with the lighting. But those of you watching in Sausalito, shout out to Byron. Actually, no, Byron's probably flying the 49ers down to Vegas right now. But I could see his house. It's right over there. But I'm talking about Mike Evans. Kyle Shanahan said it's essentially precautionary. He expects him back at practice next week for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday sessions. Tuesday's a walkthrough. Evans, just get used to it. He's going to be managing his body over the course of this season. As long as he can perform for the 49ers on Sundays when the chips are down, that is what matters. And very, very clearly, he's not going to be involved in this 3rd preseason game. So you've got Evans, Stribling. I think it's time to bubble wrap him. I would expect that to happen. I wouldn't expect to see Deebo Samuel either. Obviously, Christian Kirk is still hurt. Jacob Cowing is hurt, so I wouldn't expect to see him. For the receivers, you're probably dealing with a lot of guys on this side. You're probably dealing tomorrow with Malik Turner, Kadero Hodge, Trent Irwin, Will Pauling. And if you need to see some more from Jordan Watkins, maybe Jordan Watkins gets some time for the 49ers if you need to have 5 receivers up for the game against the Raiders. But again, you're going to get to see a lot of the reserves for San Francisco. And I enjoy this. Like, these guys deserve, they've been working hard throughout the dog days of August. They deserve some shine. To me, this is a fun time to be able to see these guys play with the lights on in the big stadium. It's not just training camp practice. We get to see them from the bird's eye view. We get to watch the tape. They're auditioning not necessarily even for a job with the 49ers, right? If they don't make the team of the practice squad, but for other teams. That tape is going to be passed around the entire league. In fact, the math is rather crazy. Teams have to cut from 90 to 53, right? So that's roughly 37 players every team has to cut. Now, I know there are injury lists, so it won't be exactly that many. But if 37 players do not make each team's 53-man roster on Sunday, multiply that by 32. That is 1,184 players around the entire league who will essentially be fired, cut, and be looking for a new job. Probably a little less than 1,000 because of all the injury list asterisks. I get it. But that's still a lot of football players who are on a roster right now who no longer will be come Sunday. And that means that whatever they're putting on tape on Thursday, the 49ers, they've got the guys who are likely to be cut playing this Thursday. That is going to be their resume. That is going to be the highlight tape that they give other teams when they try to look for a job. So to me, in a sport like football, which is this fascinating meritocracy that, I know we celebrate every single day. We go to practice and we watch everything, the nitty gritty, the very details. I'm always watching who the third team left guard is. Like I'm a little bit of a sicko, right? I'm really, really latched onto this stuff. But for us who appreciate the game this deeply, and I think all of you watching a show where I'm breaking down the roster in terms of a spreadsheet that's color-coded, I think that we all appreciate seeing the maneuvering and seeing these guys try to live out their dreams on an NFL field. So, there was the game against the Chargers last week, and people were saying, hey, why don't you just go live? Like, it's the fourth quarter, man. Like, none of the starters are playing anymore. And I said, no, I'm not going to go live until this game is over, because I know if I go live, then people will start watching the live and they're not going to watch the TV anymore. And these are guys that have put blood, sweat, and tears into their NFL careers, and they deserve our viewing attention. If we're following the 49ers and the NFL closely, the fourth quarter of a preseason game is their chance to shine. That, some of those guys are not going to ever make a regular season team, and they're going to get to tell their grandkids about the fourth quarter that they played against the Chargers in the preseason. And it's going to be a much higher level of athletic achievement than 99.99% of the population. Even if they never make a 53-man roster, they will have done more than almost anybody. And I think that's pretty cool. And that's why I watch all these preseason games, and I'm not going to go live before they finish. I think we should pay attention to everything tomorrow night when the 49ers play the Raiders. All right, so I digress. I'm going back to, where are we at? What position group are we at? We're talking about the receivers. Now we're moving over to tight end. Obviously, no Kittle tomorrow. I think the 49ers end up bubble wrapping Tonjis, Farrell. I think you have enough between 3 tight ends if you play Willis, Dinkins, and Hayden Rucci. I think Willis probably makes this roster, but he's one of those guys that's going to have to play in a preseason game because he also plays fullback. He did a great job. Remember the 37-yarder from Sincere McCormick the other day? The kick-out block, he blocked 2 guys, really, from the fullback position, came from Braden Willis. Along the offensive line, I think you run this competition until you know what you really want to do. And they might be getting close. They might be platooning. They're not going to have Robert Jones, who's got the calf injury, but I think Carver Willis needs as many reps as possible. So out of the starting offensive linemen, I think you actually, or the contenders for being starting offensive linemen, I think you see Willis. I think you rotate Connor Colby in there. Obviously, Nick Zakel is on this team, so he's going to be getting some snaps tomorrow. You're probably going to see some Drake Nugent at center. Nugent's an interesting one to me because the Stanford product, he has gotten a lot better over his couple of years with the 49ers. And Brett Toth, whom they signed to be the backup center from the Philadelphia Eagles, has been on the shelf for most of training camp with a concussion, and he had a concussion issue last season as well as Philadelphia. It's hard to tell when Brett Toth is going to be back. I see him jogging on the field and maybe ramping things up, but the protocol is the protocol. And if you don't get out of the protocol in time, 49ers won't have a backup center outside of Drake Nugent. So, they do have another guy, Doug Kramer, whom they've signed, but Nugent's clearly ahead of Kramer right now on the depth chart. I think they both move well. It's more about how you think at the center position, though. It's different than all the other O-line positions. When the players come out of the locker room for a game for actual warm-ups with their pads on, the skill position guys come out first, and the linemen come out like 10 minutes later. And there's one exception. The centers come out with the quarterbacks and the rest of the skill position players. It just goes to show you how a football operation works. The centers, they're considered to be in a different class than the other offensive line. They're coming at this from a cerebral angle. Trent Williams explained it really well the other day. He said, I couldn't even imagine what it would be like to play center, especially in this system. So anyway, it's really, really hard to evaluate centers from the outside because of the way that coaches evaluate them. But Drake Nugent, I think, has improved a lot for the 49ers over the course of his time in the building. And they added Doug Kramer Jr. Those are the two guys who are going to play center tomorrow. And if there are any questions about Brett Toth and his availability heading into the regular season, do not be shocked if one of these guys is either on the 53-man roster or more likely stays on the practice squad and is one call away from being the 49ers center, may even have to get flexed up on game days in case Jake Brendel gets hurt. But you'll probably see Brandon Parker at right tackle tomorrow. You'll see Nick Zakelj play one of the guard spots. You might start the game with Willis at left guard and Colby at right guard, and then Zakelj comes in as the 49ers' first backup guard. Enrique Cruz and Isaac Alarcon will also see time at tackle. I think Cruz has been making a lot of progress. Big question is, does he make the 53, or do the 49ers expose him to waivers and then bring him back on the practice squad? Tackles come in very, very high demand. We've got a note here. I'm going to read the note. Is that okay? The chicken is out. It has to rest for 13 minutes, and then we will eat. So, guys, you have 10 minutes to get your questions in. That's what that means, because I'm leaving before 13 minutes are up. I think, I could see my own reflection now in the mirror. As it gets darker, the more reflective this gets, and I'm seeing that light, and maybe people could see you sitting there. I'm not sure, though. Can you see her cheersing? Yeah, I think do that again. Yeah, they see. You can't. Okay, so you're in the bar, so your face is covered by the bar, but a wine glass just appears out of nowhere. There it is. Hold it up for a little bit longer. It is right there. Yeah, it's a Sancerre. Can you turn down the ring light a little bit, please? We're at that moment. Now it's starting to like fluorescent me out because, and then the other side. Oh yeah, that's way better. Maybe her email signature says Lombardi Productions executive producer. That is correct. All right. I'm going to answer some questions, and then we'll move to the defensive side of the ball. What do we have? Somebody asked, what happened to the old background? That one's in Nashville. You have a question? Lombardi herself has a question. Nothing about Jed York. I don't want to talk about that.
Will Mac Jones and Brock Purdy go on a turkey hunt?
Will Mac Jones and Brock Purdy go on a turkey hunt? Did you guys see that video from the 49ers with the turkey call? Who had the better one? Who had the funnier one? That's kind of how. That's how the quarterback play works between those two guys. Mac is hilarious. I was in the locker room the other day, and it's like the visitors' locker room, which is always a little bit more cramped after the game. And Brock was like talking to the gaggle of media in front of his locker, but there was enough media to where Mac's locker right next to his was like covered up by media people. So Mac was just like off in the other corner, and like he was just like sitting there with a towel over his shoulders, and he was like shivering. I'm like, are you okay? And he was like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Just waiting for the big guy over there to finish. Because like Brock was doing his press conference. Yeah. I think he called him the big man. Like, yeah, the big man over there's got to finish the presser, and then I could go back over. Yeah, we got another question.
What franchise do you see Mac Jones possibly leading in a year or two?
Oh, that's so tough to answer. What her question was, what franchise do I see Mac Jones leading in a year or two? That's really tough. Maybe Minnesota, somebody like that, right? Because, yeah, because the Kyler Murray, we all know, is not the answer. JJ McCarthy definitely isn't.
His
They,
boy still will be sad if he has to go that far north.
yeah. So that's true. Coming from Jacksonville, going to Minneapolis, at least they have a nice stadium
That's really
where
sad.
you're inside. Yeah, there's a big difference there. Although he was in New England, that's where he was drafted to. But New England is not Minnesota. Like Minnesota is a whole new level of cold. But you just never know where the quarterback openings are going to materialize. The NFL changes so fast, right? The NFL changes so fast. So the landscape of the league is going to be totally different in 2 years. It's just a quick
If
moving
Mac
league.
was the starting quarterback at any
We need to get you a
franchise,
mic. This would be perfect. Next time we'll have a mic for you. Go ahead.
if Mac was a starting quarterback at any other franchise besides the 49ers this year, based on offensive style, where do you think he'd be a match?
This year, well, that's why I said Minnesota, because Minnesota has O'Connell running the show. I mean, any team that is running a good timing based system, he's a good QB. Here's the thing: he could run any system, I think, because yeah, he's smart, he's tough, and I think he's accurate on short to intermediate throws. It's all you need to be a good. I don't think he's accurate on the longer throws, and I don't think he's fast. And I think Mac would tell you the same thing about his speed. He's not fast, so he's not really a ceiling raiser, but he can execute a system, and that's worth a lot in the league, right? And we saw it last year for the 49ers. He executed the system at a high level. All right, you've been hogging the questions. We got to get you a mic next time. She's working on her wine there. If you guys think Lombardi herself needs a microphone, that we just run out to the couch there. Maybe we'll have a camera going that way too. Gosh, give me a thumbs up. But Ryan Jones asks, David, is there strategy in the fact that the 49ers now have 4 Joneses on the team and are reduced to 1 White? There's because Zamir White is gone. So Zamir White and now only Keon White, who are the 4 Joneses. And Ryan Jones says he's asking as a fan, not as a Jones, because his name is Jones.
Sounds like he's short. They're like, name one person.
On your college team, yeah. All right, so they have Jack Jones, they have Mac Jones, they have Robert Jones, and they have Deion Jones, because they just traded for Deion Jones. So there's a lot of Joneses on this team. It seems to me there's a chance that all 4 Joneses, yeah, keeping up with the Joneses, make the team. In all likelihood, probably only 3 make the team, and there's a chance that only 2 make the team. The 2 that are going to make it for sure are Jack Jones and Mac Jones, and we'll see about Deion Jones. Ryan Jones is going to make the cut. He's going to continue being a good commenter on our videos, but I don't think he's going to make the actual 49ers. Would I rather trade for Josh Sweat or Alex Highsmith? Well, it all depends on the cost and the availability, guys. Highsmith has been a solid player for a long time that nobody talks about. I think Sweat has a little bit more of a reputation. That might make him pricier. I don't know. The contractual situation, isn't Highsmith entering the final year of his deal? So I think that might be more likely. So I would say Highsmith, but that's just me put on the spot right there. I would have to do a little bit more research. Somebody says, enjoy my meal. That's good. How many more minutes do I have?
Probably 7.
714 Caleb says, as soon as Aaron Donald gets reinstated, because Aaron Donald is thinking about coming out of retirement to play for the Rams.
Or like Sam Darnold's twin.
No, Aaron Donald. Very much not Sam Darnold's twin. Yeah. No, the former Rams defensive lineman, number 99, who's like a Hall of Famer, will be. He's like working out at their facility, trying to show that he's going to come back because he's a little bit of a front runner. But the other thing I have to know is that everybody's freaking out about Nick Bosa, but you know who has missed 12 camps, 12 practices this camp with knee swelling? Myles Garrett in LA. Puka isn't practicing. Myles Garrett is has this mysterious knee swelling. Everybody's like, I swear it's going to be okay by week 1. Maybe it will be. I mean, the 49ers are trying the same thing with Nick Bosa. They're trying to make sure he's good for week 1. But why is nobody freaking out about Myles Garrett and the Rams? Probably because there are no Rams fans. So, I mean, if there are no fans, then yeah, he got traded to the Rams. Yes, he was with the Browns last year. He did. He had 23 sacks last year. So anyway, that's wild to me. Maybe Aaron Donald's waiting to make sure that Myles Garrett's healthy before he joins. And Mike says that Puka can still be suspended because of his nightmare offseason that involved some video in San Francisco when he was hammered and got into the wrong car during the Super Bowl week. Remember that?
There's a word for it, but it escapes me at the moment.
Maybe you shouldn't say it.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's not bad.
It's
All right.
just
Sloshed.
bad behavior.
Bad behavior. Yeah.
Acting a fool.
All right. Do we have any questions, guys? Can the 49ers stash Wesley Grimes on IR this year? Yeah, they could do it at any point, but they haven't put him on IR yet. He's only got like a little small cast on his hand, so I don't think that he's going to be out for all that long. So I think they would rather have him develop on the practice squad. And I think you're going to be able to pass him through waivers to the practice squad. He's an undrafted rookie that, I mean, he's been good at practice, but it's not like he's caught 20 passes like Dejon Stribling is going to get poached by another team. Lombardi yourself definitely deserves a mic. Those were some amazing questions, says Muhammad.
Thanks, Muhammad. I'm so flattered.
It's good that they can hear you because this mic, I didn't think, would. It's good. The mic only picks up what it needs to pick up. When Savannah is crying, it doesn't hear her crying. Unless it's the really high pitched one, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, well, there she is. We have gone all the way to darkness. This is good. Time to wrap up. One more. Two more questions. What did you think of Colby's right guard play versus his left guard play? We have 3 minutes. I think he plays both guard positions acceptably well enough to be a swing guard. I don't think that he plays either guard position well enough to be counted on as a starter. Will that change in year 3, year 4, later in his career? It can. Colton McKivitz at the start of his career was not a starting caliber player. So Colby was a 7th round pick. The question is, will the 49ers have roster room for Connor Colby? Or is he going to have to ride on the practice squad? Or will he get poached by somebody else? Somebody's saying the chicken is getting cold, but that's fake news.
No, it's not. It's wrapped in a little foil.
Okay, chicken's doing fine.
Part of the recipe.
You got it from Marina Meats?
No, the recipe is from Ina Garten.
No, but the chicken itself.
The chicken is from
Marina
I
Meats.
asked them to spatchcock it for me, which they did.
Nice. So you're going to go back.
Well, we'll see.
They have 49er stuff up on the walls? No. No,
No,
son.
but they have a really good selection of meat. And guess what? They have anchovies.
That does not excite me, but your dad likes those. You really need your mic for next time. This is too good. Margot is in rare form today. Somebody asked me, David, do you think edge is the weakest position? Not if Nick Bosa shows up and plays at the level that we know that he's capable of. We don't know at this point. I cannot wait to see this team play in the regular season with everybody, out there not nursing stuff like they are in training camp. It's happening around the whole league. And then we can get a good idea of just how good the 49ers can be. Oh, Berkeley Bowl has a fantastic meat too. Berkeley Bowl is maybe the most famous supermarket in the world. Like well, you will hear. We'll talk about it at dinner. It's legendary for the freshness of its ingredients, right? That it sells. We may have to go across the bridge and check it out at some point. You got a steak too. Awesome. I heard something beep back there. What's my prediction? I don't have a prediction yet. That's going to come right before week 1. So I'll give you guys a prediction coming up soon. Somebody said, when in Melbourne, don't forget the coffee. Nope. And I'll let you know what meetups I will be attending in Melbourne as well. I got everything except for hotels booked, not in Melbourne, for other parts of my trip. But all the rental cars, airports, for flights, all that is booked. And I need as many recommendations as possible, places to eat. My email is on my X account if you want to send me Or if you're from Australia and you own a restaurant, you want me to check it out, I'll try to work it into the schedule. But my email is up there. It's dlombardi@sfstandard.com. But make sure you get it right. Go check it out on the X page. Everybody, thanks for watching. 49ers add another edge rusher, Jah Joyner, and I'm going to go eat some chicken. Bye.